So I wanted to talk to you about your first impression on the numbers that came out, the proficiency scores. Do you have any initial thoughts?
Well, we're working on reforming that system. The problem we have is that there are schools with fairly low proficiency rates that are rated as A and B schools because they have high growth, but but the system appears to be a little bit skewed, and some people express shock when they see a school that's an A or B, and then when they look it up, they find out that it's a low proficiency rate. So we're working on trying to reform the system.
You know, I'm really glad you bring that up because I've talked to quite a few younger families and they ask about schools and putting their kids in schools. And I always tell them, don't look at the letter grade. Go in and look at the proficiency scores. What would you tell a young family thinking about, either moving to a new area or enrolling their kids? What would be your advice?
Well, I would tell them, go on our website, azed.gov, because we show a breakdown of what went into the grades. So they can see if they want high proficiency, they can find it there. If their child needs help and they want a school that showed a lot of growth, they can look for that too.
When I looked at the numbers, what I'm finding are the districts that do well are still doing well, and the districts that are struggling are really struggling. Some of the districts, even with proficiency scores under 20%. What are your thoughts on that?
A lot of times the key is leadership, and there's not much I can do about it. We're a local control state, but the voters can elect school boards that will be more careful about choosing leadership.
Have there been any other states that have been kind of in our situation with school funding and they've been able to kind of get out of these low proficiency scores? Are there any other states that we can look to for direction?
Yeah, I don't know of any other states that have been brought to my attention as to look for. I think we know what needs to be done, but part of it depends on parents. They have to elect school boards that are academically oriented. And a lot of these school boards are ideologically oriented and not academically oriented, and that's a mistake. And so the parents have to look for candidates who are academically oriented. Most parents don't pay attention to who's on their school board, and that's a mistake. That's a key position.
Do you feel that AI might be a tool that could help some of these numbers in the future?
I do, and it's been a big initiative of mine. We have signed up for something called Conmigo, which is the very best AI company oriented toward education, and we've spent $1.5 million to bring it to the first 160,000 students. And then going beyond that, it only costs $15 per year per student. So it's something I've been pushing very hard.
And I understand parents like it, that you actually have a good response on that from families. Is that correct?
Yes. Yeah. It's very successful. It's very thoughtful. If you ask it a question, it doesn't give you an answer. It leads you to the answer by asking you questions. So it makes the students think, and that's the right way to teach.
Do you feel that program has safeguards in place to help protect children's privacy?
Yeah. I've never heard of any problems with privacy with Conmigo.
And anything else that I haven't asked you? Anything coming up in education that you'd like to share, or how's your campaign going? Any thoughts?
Well, we're working very hard to try to help the schools do better academically. I've got 15 initiatives, and I'm personally involved with every one, so I'm working hard to try to help the schools do better academically.
Yeah, when you look at like Isaac District, they're still really struggling. Tullison Union, and then I also compared these districts with superintendent salaries, and there's a little bit of a correlation, but not a huge correlation. I don't know that.
No, you're right. You're right. I spent 24 years on the Paradise Valley School Board, 10 years as its president. At that time, the third largest district in the state, and we promoted from within, and we didn't have to pay a particularly high salary. Much lower, for example, than Scottsdale, which is next door, a smaller district. But they were always trying to find somebody from the outside to save them, and they didn't know what the negatives were until they got there. By promoting within, we knew the positives and the negatives, and we and they were happy to have a raise, so we didn't have to pay the kind of salaries that they pay sometimes when they bring someone from the outside.
I've been following this whole issue with superintendents and their payouts here in the last few months in different districts. Do you have any thoughts about these superintendents walking away with hundreds of thousands of dollars and the struggles that school boards have finding good superintendents?
Well, they shouldn't have trouble finding them. They should promote their best person from within. That's the best way to go. That's what I did for 24 years. Yes, there are some districts that I think are very foolish. By spending a lot of money on administration, they don't have enough left over to pay decent teacher salaries, which is much more important.
So are you saying going outside, doing these big, huge national searches may not be the best route?
I'm saying exactly that. I think it's better to promote from within. It's good for everybody's morale. You know all the positives and negatives of the person, which you don't know with somebody coming in until they get there. We always, at Paradise Valley, we always promoted from within, and it served us very well.
Anything else you can think of?
No, I think you covered it very thoroughly.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
My pleasure.